We're live on Facebook, and hopefully we're 4 minutes late, but that's okay because normally no one shows up until 5 minutes in anyway. And
Hey,
they
everybody.
force us, hello people, they force us to talk to ourselves and be awkward for 5 minutes.
We're never awkward. What are you talking about?
I know, we're just like
never.
And just like, okay, here we are. One person is watching us.
It's me.
Oh.
I'm watching us.
All right. Creepy. So while people are signing on, we'll just say for those of you who are listening in later that we're going to have a small conversation and check-in around holiday grief. We were talking about how holiday grief is always a thing. It's not new to 2020. And we want to check in because that layer, always being mindful of grief, is compounded now with the mass grief we are experiencing on so many levels. So let's talk about it. If you're just getting it on, we got a lot of people. Kyle, hello. Kyle's preaching on Sunday. You guys, Kyle's sermon, we've seen like the prep work for it and it looks awesome. So join us Sunday to hear him preach. We always love when he preaches. Hi, Tori. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Good day to you.
Glad y'all are here with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little bit hard for me to talk about grief right after I read that Twitter thread.
I know.
It's sort of like mess. I was already in the like grief space, and then I read this Twitter thread that's really, really funny. And now I've got to like go back.
No, I think that we can just do it all in the same space. That's how things are happening. But we should tell them the invitation of the Twitter thread because maybe people will post some funny things to help counter some of our grief.
I'll link it.
Yeah, it's really
somebody asked a question like, if you lived in Bible times, what would you tweet? What would you what would you tweet? And it's so funny. It's the funniest thread. And I sat here and laughed for like 15 minutes while reading through the thread.
Yeah. I'm not even funny enough to like match what they're putting.
No, like I can't even go there. Yeah.
What would I tweet? What would you tweet? Well, I'm not good at tweeting in normal times. So
no, me neither. It's for good tweeters only.
An exclusive to practiced tweeters.
Yes, to truly funny tweeters.
Hi to Michael and Diane. Okay, so hi Tiffany. We are talking about holiday grief. We invite you to share your feelings and thoughts in the comments about what holiday grief is looking like for you this year. We can only assume that most people, if they are paying attention, will notice pockets of grief that are inevitable this year. So I don't know, Fran, Matt, would you like to share how you're looking at this and experiencing it and how you're anticipating your own holiday plans and unplans?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is when you come from a family like I do, where family of origin memories are not happy memories, like these special times can be especially painful. And I still have family members that it is for. And so like, I see that, I get that. I'm grateful that I have Heather Haddon and Ellis, whom I call my love cocoon, who have just helped me understand what family can be and help me redeem the holidays in some ways. All that's still there from kind of family of origin, but it's kind of like the volume is turned down and the volume's really turned up on the family I have now with these three incredible people. So that, I think I have other thoughts, but that's the first thing I wanted to say. It's kind of an acknowledgement and what it means for me.
Some people have love ferns. Matt has a love cocoon.
That's right. Yeah. But I think one of the ways I'm managing my anxiety and stress during this time is trying to work with people about what they expect of me. Like if you expect me to spend a holiday with you and you don't mask, you don't social distance, you're constantly spewing hateful political stuff, whatever, like I'm not going to. I'm sorry. So like I need to manage some expectations around what's expected of me, which speaks to kind of my tendency to want to please people or take care of people or whatever. So
Yeah. Fran?
I mean, I think primarily this year, so I always have grief around the holidays, and I had forgotten that until you said it a while ago. You were like, "Well, grief is we always have grief around the holidays." I'm like, "Oh, right, you're right. Like this isn't abnormal." But
Ready.
it's just like you say, the volume on grief I think has turned up this year in general, and I'm too empathic not to feel all of the trauma of the whole of the collective that's going on right now with, literally we have church members whose family members and loved ones are in this moment dying of COVID. We have people in our community who are in financial hardship, in mental health struggle, in physical health struggle, and that's just really far reaching, and it touches really close to home. But also, I just if you just tap into the energy of the whole country and really the whole world right now, it's an energy of grief and trauma and lament and division. And so I'm too empathic not to tune into that to some extent. I have to really work to turn that off.
Yes.
So, yeah, for sure, I feel like it's amplified this year.
Yeah. I think I really resonated with what Matt was saying about childhood trauma and that informing how we look at holidays. And I mean, experiencing some really painful holidays as a child, and then in adulthood, reclaiming those, and also even healing with my family, with the actual people that we experienced this hardship, and then we were able to reclaim it, and as a family find joy in holidays for the last probably like 10 or 15 years of my life have felt like a victory, like we overcame something really hard. And look at this moment, it's this picture of healing, it's this picture of how time can heal family wounds and work can heal family wounds. And so I think for me, I'm going to be like pretty in my feelings about not having those moments this year with my family. I'm not like on the tip of tears when I think about it. So the way that I'm coping with not getting to see family this year, is I'm thinking about the space that is created, because holidays at the same time as we get to normally see family and do things, we're also busier than ever, more stressed than ever. We have so many parties and so many responsibilities, especially as pastors. We just have a lot in December. And it's like, okay, with some of these losses of community and interaction, this space has opened up. And I wonder what Advent's going to look like. I wonder what my personal reflection and prayer time is going to look like, and in just the space in my life, maybe I can find a gift in that space. So I do want to feel my feelings, but I also want to find the gifts because I know they're there. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, at least in this moment.
I like that. I hope people didn't miss that. There's a gift in the space and in the absence as well. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. I for sure every year feel that extrovert pressure most holidays. And so it is kind of a relief for me not to have all of that that social pressure. And I'm I always feel really burdened by the consumerist bent, Christmas in particular. And it really wears me out. All the like shopping and all the buying, and so I am that, like, that is a gift to me for that volume on that dial to be turned down is something that I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm. It's you know, being an extrovert, I even feel the release of pressure too,
Mhm.
which just goes to show how loud and over all consuming it is. Um, so I totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
Um, first, I like it that we're using the volume analogy because that kind of helps me with my own mental health when I realize like somebody's on level 11 in my head and I have to actively like I'm turning you down or this expectation down or whatever right now, and I'm turning this up over here. So maybe an intentional practice, you know, is to sit and go, who do I have turned up too loudly right now in my
Yeah.
mind?
Mhm.
I also want to acknowledge Tiffany's comment that she put on there because I've been thinking about her as we went into this conversation, and this is a first without Ezzy in a way. So I like what she put there in terms of like we're going to start a new practice. We're going to do something positive with our pain. I just think it's beautiful, a good exercise of love and agency.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to sit with everything. And in the end, there is this truth that we do get to choose where our attention goes.
Mhm.
All of these things are happening. COVID is happening, and grief, anxiety, loss, all these things are happening. And despite, the reality of everything that is, I do get to choose what I pay most attention to.
Yeah.
And that's an element of self-discipline there. So I have to maintain some discipline, both to stay engaged with the world as it is and the world's need,
Mhm.
and to maintain my own health and sanity and well-being.
Yeah. It's like you know, if you think about the holidays, we love them and we hate them every year. We love them and we hate them every single time because there's an element of joy through for me the observance of the season, the liturgical season. There's an element of joy with when you think about like your family and you kind of have, you know, access to community in different ways, but it's always really stressful and overwhelming, like Fran said, with the consumerism and the extroversion, all the parties and everything we're supposed to do. And it's like I feel like some of those things are still accessible to us this year, but because we are all so weary, so exhausted, and we're more raw from having expended so much energy, we're facing these things and going, I absolutely cannot do that. I just like every other year we just sort of push through and do it anyway, but this year there's so many things for me that are like I just literally can't. I cannot stress about this or spend energy on that or spend time on that. Like I can't do it this year. And that's a gift in the sense that the space has opened up to allow me to do that in a way that some of the pressures aren't there that I would normally push through. So maybe next year or in the following years, hopefully we're not in a pandemic, but maybe I've learned a new practice through this uncovering.
Yeah.
I've got to share like just a little personal snippet that happened yesterday with you two. Is I was thinking about helping a friend with something, even though I'm stretched so thin. And they were like, if you do that, your chances of getting COVID like go through the roof. And if you get COVID, Matthew, you will break. Like we have never seen you this stressed. And if your whole family is sick, just don't. We are telling you as your friends, have that boundary. And it was hard for me to, because I want to be pastoral and helpful or whatever. But I kind of hear some of what you're saying there, really. Say no if you need to say no.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm wondering for people listening, we've got, you know, people on today, I think that resonate with this topic. Like, where do you need to say no this year? Because the grief is just unavoidable. And there are several of us in our community who, it's not just collective grief, it's not just pandemic grief, it's not just election, whatever. It is real grief, real loss, and personal, deep loss. And I want to know, from all of you, how do you need to say no, and what kind of, volumes do you need to turn down to care for yourself? Because, we are lucky to have a sacred community caring for us, but ultimately we got to figure out some of these safeguards for ourselves entering into this season that is just right around the corner.
And we're here on the, at the front end of the holiday season. And so what we can do together is we have this opportunity and this invitation to sort of set some precedents of, well, how do we want this to be? And what do we choose to focus on? And what do we choose to let in and keep out? And that's a level of intentionality that is probably new for some of us.
Yeah.
That we need.
Well, it's hard to spend time thinking about all that. And usually you're just too busy, usually.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it not being so busy. I'm really excited about that. Really having an opportunity to have kind of a simpler time, I hope, the next month. At least in our church, we've really intentionally not tried to overload people with virtual this and that.
Yeah. Yeah. My urge here lately is really just to curl up and watch movies, and I'm trying to give myself the permission to just do that.
Yes.
And not feel like I have to be producing or inputting, constantly.
Yep. I feel that. I'm not gonna lie, last week I watched like all 5 Twilight movies. I was so stressed. I didn't have any childcare. I mean, I did not have time, but I was just like coping. It was how I was coping. To pick a series.
We are almost through Schitt's Creek, so we're on season 6, just a few episodes.
I need to watch Schitt's Creek. What's the Ted Lasso? Why am I watching Twilight?
Lasso is what you need to watch for sure.
It's too late now, though. I did it. It's in my brain. Team Edward or Team Jacob? Okay, Tiffany just asked, so I've got to answer. I mean, I am Team Edward because I'm basic. I'm just basic, and I am Team Edward. But if I go deep with it, it's all weird and messed up. Probably Jacob was better for Bella, but then the imprinting, it's very weird. Let's not get into it.
So I think one of the big... Go ahead.
Michael has a really good comment. He says, this is not about disregarding a dark season. It could be about what do we plant now in the dark where things are normally planted to bloom in spring.
Yes. Ooh.
That's a good comment.
So good.
Yeah. So how do we plant rest?
Yeah. Cherry Blossoms comes to mind. The song that we sing or used to sing a lot. In winter, I believe you. In springtime, I see you is part of the refrain or the chorus or something.
Yeah, the chorus.
And that is so, so good. Yeah. Such a good thought. And I planted tulip bulbs. I've never done that before. So maybe I'll think about that more, Michael, in a bodily, kind of embodied way. Looking forward to my tulips hopefully popping up in the spring.
Well,
Charlie, I agree. It is so funny because I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. This is such a tangent, but I've watched all the Twilights like this since I've been a parent. And the whole time I could not keep thinking about like Charlie's perspective. The first time, I watched them all, it was before I had a kid and I was all like love story. And then this whole time I was like, but Charlie.
Wait, Charlie's the dad?
Yeah.
He's her dad? I can't remember the
This
characters.
doesn't make sense for Charlie, but think about Charlie. I kept thinking about him.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Well, we're at 12:24.
And we're talking about Twilight. That must mean it's time
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, look, Thanksgiving's next week. We're hoping you get some rest. We're hoping that you are able to at least find a minute to curl up on your sofa and watch some cheesy movie.
Yeah.
Permission.
Yeah. We're here. We're going to be doing really thoughtful Sunday gatherings and not a whole lot in between, very intentionally. But that doesn't mean that we can't operate as the beloved community. So we will be, here, we'll be accessible, we'll be connecting just in the old-fashioned way without programming, just true human connection. So let us know what you need. If you're local, make sure you're in our local group because we can tangibly help each other out that way.
Yeah, and y'all, send each other texts. Check in on each other.
Share phone number. And
That's the real liturgy that we're all living.
And you don't have to wait for us to do it. You can do it too.
Yeah. We invite you. You're wanted and welcome.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone, we will see you Sunday. Please join us. It's such a precious time together where we all share and dialogue, and we're looking forward to it. So everyone have a great day and great week.